All right. So if any of you have been to the grocery store over the last for the last few years, but of course, especially recently, I remember last year I was at Costco. We have a family of seven. There's seven of us total. So Costco, I live 10 minutes from. It is a weekly visit, if not more, for my family. And, because we buy in bulk on a lot of things. I got a bunch of little kids too. They like all those snacks. So we can get those in bulk, save some money. But Costco has always had like really good prices on everything. That's why it's Costco, right? You get it in bulk, so it's not cheap, but it's cheap for what you're getting, like per pound or per ounce or whatever. Well, I remember it was like last summer. I went to go grab. They have those nice little pre-packaged. I like it because then you know how much you're actually getting. But pre-packaged pound, like I think it's a 5 pound bag of beef, but they're 1 pound pre-packaged, so you get five of them, right? And that thing was $30. And I go, what? And I had to do a double take to make sure. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I grabbing the right thing? Is it ground beef? Is that saying ground? Yes. Ground 5 pounds of ground beef for $30. Yeah, it is packaged real nice and neat and whatnot. But we used to get our meat from when I lived closer to back where I grew up. I had a connection with a friend. I'd buy like a half a cow or a whole cow every year and butcher it up, and that's where we get our meat because it's honestly it's the best way to do it, cost wise and like health wise. Um, but I can't do that where we live now, and I haven't looked for a new connection or anything like that. But yeah, it's ridiculous. $30 for. So I was like, are you kidding me? And now it's even more, man. Like you go to the grocery store and go try to get a pound of ground beef, and it is an arm and a freaking leg. So this is a big problem. And why are we talking about beef on this channel? Well, because beef, this affects health, right? What we put into our bodies determines our health. Hell, the reason why we are in this situation, why we have so many sick people in this country, so many people with chronic illnesses and the basic chronic illness, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, with like high blood pressure or high cholesterol, any of that kind of stuff. More and more people keep getting it. It's because of the crap we're putting in our bodies. And contrary to what some of you may still believe, because we all grew up with those dumbass pyramid systems where the bottom, the one you're supposed to have the most, is just carbs, it's grains and carbs. And it's like, and like at the top is like red meat, and like you're supposed to have just a little bit. No, that's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. That was all bought and paid for and studies done by Big Sugar because they wanted to hook us on this junk food that's addictive and not nutritious at all and makes us sick. And it's cheap. And it's cheap, right? But contrary to what you guys might believe, meat is really good for you, especially red meat. And if you don't believe me, you think I'm crazy, that's fine. That's fine. But I would challenge you to prove me wrong. Eat nothing but carbs for a month and then eat nothing but meat for a month. Not even red meat, all kinds of meat, whatever meat you want. Have water, plain coffee, and meat. And tell me how you feel at the end of the month. I know how you're going to feel. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to be probably about 20 pounds lighter, depending how big you are. And you're going to have more energy than you ever had in your life. Your aches and pains, your inflammation is going to go away. And you're going to be wondering why the hell you haven't been doing this sooner. I know this because I've done this several times in my life. Now, you'd be like, well, if it's that good, then why don't you do it all the time? I'm not going to lie, it's freaking hard. It's hard to just eat meat all the time. But if I put my mind to it for a month, I can do it. It's great. And then I try to stick with, I actually don't eat a whole lot of sugar. My whole thing is, as you guys know on the morning show, I drink a lot of beer. I love beer. That's I don't eat sweets. I don't eat any of that stuff. I eat one meal a day. I know. My dad bod's been slim. I've lost 15 pounds this month. My dad's bod's going away. But meat is really good for you. So why is this a big deal? Why is rising meat prices a big deal? Well, because then you're pricing out a whole part of the country that isn't going to be able to afford meat, which is really good for us. And now I don't mean that no one's going to ever, like a family's not going to be able to buy meat. No, they still can, but they're going to be buying less of it. So instead of getting 10 pounds of ground beef for the month, they might only be able to get 5, which means less amount of beef they're going to be able to consume, which means they're going to have to replace that with garbage that's going to make them sicker and unhealthy. And eventually they'll end up on friggin' Ozempic or one of the other GLP ones, right? We'll get into that here in a little bit. But this is a big problem. Not only is everything going up in price, like gas is up right now. I mean, just across the board, everything's going up, especially since the pandemic. But this one really affects us as a country because this shouldn't be happening, and this is easily avoidable. But the president decided to talk about this and address this situation because clearly his administration realizes how big of a deal this is. So he came up with a solution or a temporary fix for the rising cost of ground beef. So let's see what he says. So he truthed. What is it? August 21st. Was that Friday? Let's say the 23rd. Yeah. So that was on Friday. He truthed out, today I concluded a deal to substantially lower the price of ground beef for working American families. As everyone knows, under President Biden, beef prices soared at their fastest rate, and American beef herd fell to its smallest size in modern history. I did not know that. As we work to rebuild this herd, help our ranchers for the next 90 days, the United States will allow up to 300,000 metric tons of product for ground beef to be imported with no out of quota tariff. So basically less taxes on it. We have a commitment that this beef will be sold at a 25% below current market price or below current market prices. This deal will reduce prices for Americans while giving space for our great American beef herd to grow again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. Okay. Here's the problem with this. I want to just start out by saying, appreciate that we're at least addressing the problem and coming up with some sort of solution, right? Because most politicians will just talk about it and then do nothing and then wait for a re-election telling you that they'll do it, get reelected, not do anything about it. Next time come around and say, hey, this time I'm going to fix the problem. So at least we're doing something, okay? I have a couple issues with this. First of all, 90-day fix doesn't seem like it's going to fix everything. Like, it just feels like a Band-Aid, a little temporary fix. Honestly, it's probably a political game to get prices to come down quickly before the midterms. That's politics. Both sides do it. So I'm not gonna like stand on one party side or the other. They both do this kind of stuff because we're heading into election season. So, okay. All I care about is we actually get a solution to this. So us, the working class, the average American, can breathe a little bit better, can get some better food, right, at cheaper prices. The other thing I have a problem with this is I get skeptical when we're talking about, they're going to sell it at 25% below current market price. What kind of quality are we getting there then? Like, who's in the business to just like lose money or lose out on potential profits? Not even they might not even be selling at a loss, but lose out on potential profits on this. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me unless, on the back end, the United States government's going to cover the cost, which wouldn't surprise me either. But also we're poor. The other thing is we're grabbing this meat from out of the country. This is America, baby. Shouldn't we be able to make these things, produce meat here? And I know, you're talking about the herds. We got to get the herds bigger and whatnot. But last I checked, a baby calf doesn't grow into a full big ass cow until in 90 days. So I don't know what this temporary fix is going to do. There is a solution that I think is better. Let me scan the chat real quick though. Yeah, I will address you guys' chats here in a second. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm going to clip this out. So those of you watching this on the clip version, hello, come check us live. But here's the deal. So this was tweeted out from Good Ranchers. I thought it was interesting. So we understand why beef prices are a problem right now. Ground beef is an average of $6.89 per pound, up 57% since 2021. And that's real pressure on American families. You say. You don't say, huh? Okay. But flooding the market with 300,000 metric tons of imported ground beef with no tariff for 90 days is not a solution for American ranchers. It's a short-term price fix that puts more down pressure on the cattle producers who are already struggling to stay viable. Trump has not said which countries this beef is coming from or who committed to the 25% price reduction he's promising. American cattle ranchers have been dealing with years of drought, high feed costs, and shrinking herds. The answer is not more cheap imported beef with lower standards competing against them on the shelves with no country of origin label required to tell you the difference. That's a good point. We will continue to source 100% American. This is not changing. I thought this was interesting because that kind of hits on those points. It's like, yeah, like this is a Band-Aid. Can we solve the problem here? Can we start at least addressing the problem? Because this is just a temporary Band-Aid. What we need we need to reduce the government. We need to reduce the red tape. We need to get rid of the USDA or limit it severely. That way you can go down to your local farmer and buy directly from them. Because here in America, they're locking people up for doing that. I know many of you follow the great Robert Barnes. He's got a case with the Amish and whatnot, and people out in Pennsylvania that are running into this kind of problem. It's just baffling to me. Imagine what our founding fathers would think. Be like, hey, wanted to go buy some beef from my neighbor, and I couldn't do it. I got arrested. They would be rolling over in their graves. As you see right here, of course, because this is political, there's going to be people on both sides attacking it or defending it. And this person here is saying, I don't see anyone else coming up with viable solutions to this. Quit complaining and start suggesting solutions. Okay, well, that's fair. And like I said, I do appreciate at least we're starting to talk about the problem, even though I don't agree with the temporary Band-Aid. But Sean here says, stop small farmers having to process in USDA facilities, which will allow local / on-farm meat processing, which lets small ranchers access retail money, kick China out of the U.S. food supply. Only big beef processors win. Cheap meat to them, same price to us. Prove me wrong. That is interesting. And Robert Barnes tweeted out polling. He's done a lot of polling for this. Him and Rich Bear, so the People's Pundit. This is a popular topic in the country. His poll showed allowing farmers direct sale to consumers was very popular. Food freedom is what he calls it, which I agree. Why can't I go buy? Listen, I'm all for stuff being safe and not not going to make people sick. Will there be accidents that happen? Yeah, there's accidents that happen now. Hell, we're on our 5th recall of something. I just saw blueberries got recalled. We had the lettuce crisis last month with the Taco Bell lettuce stuff, right? Giving you deathly diarrhea. Now we got the same thing with blueberries. I mean, there's going to be accidents that happen, things that get contaminated. But you should have a choice. You can go to the grocery store and buy from a USDA certified processor, or you can go down to your farmer. Say, hey, can I get some eggs? Yeah, so long story short, let's just cut the red tape. Let's let these ranchers, these farmers, sell directly to the people. Quit having to go through the government and get an approval to sell to a mass amount of people. Just let's start building. This will help build communities too, which is what we need more of in this country. But if you got a guy down the road that's a farmer, I got a couple down here. I got a neighbor down here that sells beef too. That has a little butchering processor there. I don't know. Bringing your meat to them, they'll butcher it up for you. Let's just go directly to them. Cut out the middleman, cut out the government, cut all the extra fees, and let people have their own choice. Freedom of choice. All right. If you want to go risk it and go get something from a farmer, cool. That's on you. If you want to play it safe, I guess if you want to call it play it safe, you want to go trust that it's got the USDA stamp on it, that makes you feel better when you're eating your meat, fine. Go to the store and get it. But we should be doing that, not artificially lowering prices for whether it's for political gain or just actually, let's just pretend that it's actually trying to help the working families out there, the average American, get access to good quality food and not be forced to eat junk and then end up with chronic disease and illness, which is what we have in this country at a substantially high rate. I appreciate the effort, but it could be real easy. And I know, oh man, I should have had it pulled up, but I know that Thomas Massey has a nice bill in Congress that's probably not going to pass because why would they? Because it would hurt big ag. Um, but his does that. His bill basically says, here's a solution to this. Let farmers be farmers and let them sell to whoever they want to sell to. Pretty simple. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Are you feeling the pain at the grocery store when you go buy meat or anything in general? Comment below, subscribe to the channel. Catch you guys on the next stream.